So how do you even begin to reconcile someone who's, saving whole industries, aiming for Mars, with these really intense, sometimes just brutal stories about his impact on people?
It's the central question. And welcome to the deep dive. We're taking that exact paradox on today, looking at the huge amount of research and the biographical sources you send over on the world of Elon Musk.
And our mission here isn't just to list his achievements. I mean, those are monumental, obviously.
Right. It's to critically look at the narratives themselves.
Wow.
Why do these stories of pure technical genius so often clash and clash so sharply with the accounts of his personal and ethical behavior?
And the sources give us this perfect snapshot of that conflict right off the bat. There's this one incredible scene.
Oh, the dinner.
The dinner. So Musk is at this very high-end seafood restaurant in Silicon Valley. He's in designer jeans, a plaid shirt, and he's described as physically imposing, but also almost sheepish.
Which is an interesting combination of words.
It is. He orders fried lobster chunks soaked in black squid ink and then just starts eating them in what the writer calls gargantuan bites.
And while he's doing this, he's talking earnestly about saving the human race. And then he starts ripping into this giant yellow cotton candy sculpture.
Yes, as if it's the most normal thing in the world.
It's the perfect visual summary, isn't it? The huge ambition right next to this complete disregard for convention. And it all leads to him just looking at the writer and asking, straight up, do you think I'm insane?
Wow.
And the sources are really clear on this. Outside of that Silicon Valley bubble, where he's often treated like a god, a lot of people see him as a kind of sci-fi version of P.T. Barnum.
A showman.
Exactly. So our job today is to hold both of those very extreme ideas at the same time.
Okay, so let's unpack the engine behind it all, this drive. It comes from one single, non-negotiable mission, right?
The Mars agenda. It's about making humanity multiplanetary to save us from, wiping ourselves out. And whether you agree with the goal or not, you have to understand that this is the unifying principle over everything he does.
And that mission creates a work culture that is just extreme, almost inhuman.
The scale of the demands is staggering. I mean, he actually said that if he could not eat so he can work more, he would not eat.
He said that.
He did. And for his teams, that translates to things like 90-hour work weeks being normal. And this absolutely ruthless hiring philosophy. One great engineer will replace 3 medium ones. It's not about being nice.
It's about raw output.
It's purely about optimizing for speed.
And this is crucial. The word no just doesn't seem to compute for him, especially on engineering problems. If a team says, this is impossible, or we can't hit that deadline.
He doesn't just argue, he threatens to take over the project himself and do it. And the thing is, the sources show this isn't a bluff. He actually does it. He'll sleep under his desk for weeks, learn the subject from scratch, and solve the problem.
That's incredible.
And there's a key insight in the sources about the psychology here. He rarely gives a direct order. Instead of saying, do this impossible thing by Friday, he frames it as a question.
How so?
He'll say, I need the impossible done by Friday at 2 p.m. Can you do it? And by doing that, he shifts the ownership. The engineer isn't just working for him anymore.
They're working to prove to themselves that they can do it.
Exactly. That small shift in framing is unbelievably powerful. It's a huge part of their efficiency.
And you can see that intensity translate directly into success. I mean, look at SpaceX. They built their main factory in Hawthorne out of an old, dusty warehouse, pushing this vision of being the Southwest Airlines of space.
Cheap, fast, and high volume. And that culture let them tackle the biggest problem in aerospace: cost. Take avionics, the rocket's brain. A traditional company might quote you $10 million or more. Musk came in and demanded that the core systems cost no more than $10,000.
Which, to anyone in that industry, would sound completely unhinged.
They called it insane. But the way they did it is the key. They got rid of the separation between the offices and the factory floor. Engineers sat right next to the welders.
So they could see their designs being built in real time.
In real time. Design changes that used to take years were happening in days. That kind of total integration was just revolutionary for that industry.
And you see the exact same pattern with Tesla.
Right? Same playbook.
Right.
Rapid vertical integration to just move faster than the big, slow legacy automakers. They bought the huge NUMI factory in Fremont, and crucially, they brought all the critical battery work in-house, away from suppliers in Asia.
And the result? The sources say they designed and built the first prototype of the Model S, a totally new kind of car, in just 4 months.
With only 18 people.
18 people. I mean, a traditional car company spends years and hundreds of millions of dollars to get to that point. The speed is just, it's undeniable.
And this is the perfect place to make that philosophical turn. We've seen the technical efficiency, it's real. But now we have to look at the moral efficiency.
What do you mean by that?
The sources raise this really critical point. They say, a tragedy of our time is that liberal democracies have become slow and bureaucratic. And that slowness, that caution, it leaves a vacuum.
A vacuum for people who are faster, aggressive, and often less ethical to step in and win.
Precisely. It forces you to ask, is that speed a virtue on its own, even if it's achieved through really ruthless methods?
Right. The traditional auto industry was slow because of things like union protections, safety rules, entrenched bureaucracy. Musk just cut through all of that.
Yeah.
But what about the human element he cut through at the same time?
Exactly. That's the question. When this kind of genius delivers things that do benefit society-saving companies pushing space travel, what's the acceptable human cost? And the sources are unflinching on this.
You really don't shy away from it. You have to look at some of the really difficult personal accounts, like his first marriage to Justine Musk.
The dynamic was set almost immediately. The most famous story is from their wedding reception. While they were dancing, he apparently pulled her close and told her, "I am the alpha in this relationship."
Wow. At his own wedding.
And that drive to dominate, to conquer, it carried through their entire relationship and into their divorce, where she said she felt like a business adversary to be conquered.
It's a pattern then. He sees relationships as contests to be won, not partnerships.
It seems so. And you see that same transactional mindset in the story of his executive assistant, Mary Beth Brown. This is maybe the most cold-blooded example.
She worked for him for over a decade, right? She was basically his operational right hand across all his companies.
She gave her life to the job. And when she finally asked for a raise to be compensated on par with the other top executives, his response was just astonishing.
He didn't just say no.
He told her he was going to do her job himself for 2 weeks to see how hard it was.
You're kidding.
I'm not. And after those 2 weeks, he concluded he could do it, and he let her go. He fired her.
After more than a decade of loyalty.
The message was brutal. Loyalty, time served. It meant nothing compared to his measurement of her utility. She was disposable. It just confirms this lore around his complete lack of loyalty or human connection.
And it wasn't just a one-off, it was a management style.
A management style of confrontation. The sources describe his tendency to just destroy employees with blunt criticism. He once told a supplier point blank, "You're fucking us up the ass." It doesn't feel good.
There's no filter.
None. One former employee said working for him felt like being ammunition. You're used for a purpose, and then you're just discarded.
Which brings us back to these conflicting narratives. Because on the one hand, you have that, but on the other, you have this story of pure awe, especially from his peers in Silicon Valley.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you read what people like Larry Page or Peter Thiel say, they talk about him with reverential awe. They see him as a model for what real ambition looks like, someone whose work gives the public hope.
The Mars mission, especially.
Exactly. And you can see why. By 2012, he had done the impossible. SpaceX was flying to the space station, and Tesla was delivering the Model S. The only person you could even compare that to is Steve Jobs, succeeding in 2 totally different massive industries at once.
So that's one narrative, the possessed genius on the grandest quest.
But a critical look at the sources means you have to put that right next to the intense professional skepticism from serious academics and economists.
Right, this is where the debate gets really interesting. You have someone like the economist Tyler Cowen.
And Cowen's take is that Musk isn't a true inventor. He calls him an attention seeker. He argues that real innovation is a finite resource, and Musk is just refining past inventions.
Basically, he's a master executor, not an originator.
That's the argument. Cowen even says he doesn't think people actually care about getting to Mars.
And the criticism gets even harsher.
Oh, much harsher. The energy analyst Vaclav Smil just dismisses Tesla. He calls it nothing but an utterly derivative, overhyped toy for show-offs. And he calls the Hyperloop proposal bamboozling people who do not know anything about kindergarten physics.
Ouch.
Yeah. Smil basically argues Musk is trailing far behind real American innovators.
So this is the key takeaway for you listening to this. The technical efficiency, the 4-month car prototype, the drastically cheaper rockets, that part is real. It's measurable.
But the meaning of that efficiency is what's up for debate. Is he a once-in-a-generation innovator, creating truly new things? Or is he an unparalleled executor, taking big ideas that slow bureaucratic industries were too scared or too regulated to pursue?
And the sources don't give you a clean answer, they just present both sides of that argument.
Which forces you right back to where we started. The story of Musk makes you confront the idea that genius and efficiency are not the same thing as being ethical or moral.
You have to accept both realities at once. The possessed genius, leading his troops to Mars, and the alpha male, who can be incredibly callous. They're somehow the same person.
And to leave you with one final thought from the sources, there's this profound duality that's almost theatrical. This mix of incredibly high-level science and, like, juvenile humor.
You're talking about the car models.
I am. The man building the rockets to save humanity is also focused on a long-running, elaborate joke.
It's the perfect ending. So when Ford blocked him from using the trademark for the Model E,
He just immediately registered the trademark for the Model Y.
because his original plan for the lineup, the Model S, Model E, and Model X spelled SEX, and when Ford ruined that,
The joke just became SEXY, and he actually said it out loud. SEXY. What does that spell?
that duality, the visionary thinking about physics and the prankster thinking about the alphabet, that's the paradox that makes this so endlessly fascinating.
It really is.
Thank you so much for joining this deep dive. If you enjoy taking this critical look at how these narratives get built, balancing the technical on with the human critique, be sure to follow the channel for more explorations into complex figures and topics. Thank you for listening.